Hello everyone, this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage and I am bringing a video. This is a follow-up to my cleaning series, and that's the reason you see the old Singer 2.7 from the turn of the last century. This came out of a treadle table, and I had used this machine to show you guys how to gently but effectively clean and buff the painted finish of your sewing machine and how not to screw it up, because many people have trying to get them cleaned. But today I'm making what I promised when I made the last video, which is to follow up and make a video on what I call the metallic finished pieces of a sewing machine. This is what is often referred to as the hardware on the machine. And in this case, I have taken this plate off the back. This is an access plate that is attached to the back of this machine. Many of you who have vintage machines will have these. It gives you access to the drive shaft area of the machine, because of course these machines didn't have lids and tops. They were made as a monocoque, one big piece here. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to take a piece like this, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how to clean these and how to make them look a lot nicer than they do now for many of your old machines. Now, let's see. I'm going to be talking about several different options that you have, and I'll show you what I prefer, but I wanted to kind of show you, we can test different things, and we'll talk a little bit about what exactly these pieces of metal are made from. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to actually get another piece, and I'll take it right off of the 2.7 here. I've got my straight screwdriver tips so that I don't strip my screw. This is a really old machine. That screw's been there a while. This is another little panel. It's like a trim cover, if you will. And I want to make sure I don't lose my screw there. So I'm just going to put it right back where it was. And it'll be waiting for me when I go to return this piece. And again, it was a way to, just like everything else from the vintage era, you wanted to be able to access parts, but this was kind of a decorative cover. But it's made out of the same material that our rear cover is made from. So now I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to kind of do a little testing here today. And I'm going to show you different materials you can use on these parts, and again, the one I prefer. First, let's talk about what these are. Typically, on vintage sewing machines, depending on the model, the manufacturer, and the year, so they were generally made of steel, these little trim pieces. You will also find this on your side plate on the left sides of your machines. They were typically made of steel, and sometimes they were plated with chrome, and they were also plated with nickel. And part of this was decorative, and of course it's protective when you take a metal and you plate it with another substance. Apparently plating goes way back in terms of machine history. Now, chrome is a different substance than nickel, but the idea was to protect the metal from being oxidized or rusting. And it also made it decorative, and you could polish it. Well, these two particular pieces are nickel plated. And I'm going to show you the method I prefer to use when I am cleaning them, and why I don't use steel wool on these. And it'll hopefully be more apparent in a minute. Fine steel wool is a great way to clean any number of things, but in this case I don't want to use it because I think it's going to be too harsh. Now, I've got this piece, and then I've got this larger piece, and with the larger piece, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it off into sections so we can see what different substances might do in trying to restore the old finish. Okay guys, so I have this smaller piece here. I'm going to be zooming in, and let's change the angle. I want you to get a little closer view up of what I'm up to here. Now, I took painter's tape and I trimmed it, and I did that so that I decided to spare you all the excitement of watching me cut tape. It's like watching someone cut grass, I suppose. watching grass grow. And I've got 1, 2, 3 sections and then this one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take several different products, and I use all of these, but I'm going to kind of let you see what they do when you just apply them. And the reason this is important is that anytime you're dealing with the paint on a machine, the plating on a machine, you're dealing with some form of chemistry or metallurgy, to get really out in the weeds there. And of course, anything you put on the machine involves chemistry. This is why I was very adamant about insisting that you only use sewing machine oil to clean the paint of your machine. Now, some people have tried using hand cleaner, and I'm actually going to show you some hand cleaner here and give you my take on hand cleaner. I do like it, mostly for cleaning my hands, to be honest, when they're dirty from all the grease. That's why hand cleaner was created. So, oh, and I forgot I have this set screw. We might as well take care of that while we're at it. Okay, so I'm going to take, I'm going to start with sewing machine oil, and we're going to see how this does. Remember, I told you sewing machine oil has a cleansing effect. It's slower, it's more gentle, but it takes longer. So I am going to take sewing machine oil, and I'm going to, I think we need to zoom in a bit more for you guys and give you an even better angle. Hopefully that will make this a little bit better to see. So I'm just going to take sewing machine oil, and I'm going to take, I don't know what I've got here, drops, and just smear it around, okay? Next, I'm going to take a product that many of you have asked me about, and that's hand cleaner. Now, when I talk about hand cleaner, what I'm talking about is a product you typically see for sale in automotive supply stores. You can get it in hardware stores. It was created to help people whose hands get really greasy and grimy, whether you're working on, an old car, whatever it is you're doing. You get often grease and dirt together, and you get it all over your hands, and you want to clean them. This is real important, though. This stuff comes, it was originally made as a kind of a solvent cleaning cream, for lack of a better word. Later, they developed what you more commonly see now, and that is this stuff, but they've added pumice. Whatever you do, if you're going to use this kind of product, please do not use any with pumice. And you've got to read closely because it's not always jumping out on the label. A lot of times this says Motomaster, but the brand every brand has its own recipe and chemistry. So this applies only to this brand. Now, you don't have to get this brand. And in fact, on the label, it doesn't even tell you, it says, hey, it contains aloe and lanolin. It doesn't even tell you if there's pumice in it or not. Sorry about that. Right? When you look at the label, it just says hand cleaner. So you have to go on the back and read the contents. Yes. Isn't that exciting? Way to spend an afternoon reading the contents on a can of hand cleaner. Make sure you do not see the term pumice anywhere in there. If it says on the label, very often if it has pumice, it will say somewhere, if it's small or big letters, with pumice. Do not use it. The only version of any of these cleaners, you might see it under the name Permatex or Gojo, and there are others, those are bigger names in it. If it says pumice, do not use it because pumice is an abrasive, and if you use that, whatever you use it on is going to look like you took hard, rough sandpaper to it. So that's a huge caveat. Sorry to go on and on about this, but if you use the pumice version on a machine one time, you will be really unhappy with that. Don't do that. Okay. This product I also got at a car parts supply store, and there are many chains in North America, in the US and Canada. There are all kinds of chains. It doesn't really matter which one you go to. But what you want to look for is this. Now, the world is your oyster when it comes to choices in metal polishes. In the past, I have used polishes. There was one called Wienal, I think. It was made in Germany. Auto Bright. I mean, it just goes on and on. metal polishes are often, sometimes they're a little specific. Some are made just for silver or copper or what have you. And again, this is something you have to test. This particular polish says it was originally designed for aluminum and mag wheels, but the wheels is not an issue. It says perfect for all metals, shines and protects. Now, I know that this is good for chrome and I believe nickel. But just like anything else, the first time you buy something, I don't care if it's this or any other brand, you know, a lot of times they'll always say, hey, test on an inconspicuous area first. Yes, you should do that because you don't know. I am very leery of experimenting on one of my beloved machines only to find out later that I messed it up. So this is a general rule of thumb for anything you do. Always try it out first and see how it does before you slather a whole, a whole part, in this case, with a product. So I just want to make sure I mention that. The other reason I pulled this, I could have gotten some esoteric European brand fancy polish, and I'm sure it might be doing fine. But I wanted to find something that I thought you all would be able to have a reasonable chance of finding without creating this massive project where you have to order it from England or whatever. You know, most of you live somewhere near some auto parts place. You can also find this sometimes in a hardware store, but it's a common brand. It's all over North America. I don't have a mother's sponsorship. I just wanted to make this, make this a practical thing for you guys so you can go out and try it, right? Just, it needs to be practical. It's not crazy. I think I paid $10 for this, and it's going to go a long way. This will last a very long time. And then I have something you've seen me use quite a bit. This is isopropyl alcohol, 91%, I believe, alcohol content. And I think that's it. I think we've covered all of the different substances here. Now, I am going to take cotton swab. No shocker there. You guys have seen me use more cotton swabs than most cotton swab commercials, I think. Okay, so I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to put the alcohol here and just daub it. I'm not doing any friction movement here yet. Okay, I just want to see what this is going to do. And we're also going to talk about what it exactly is, but I don't want it to come past there. And we'll see how well that's painter's tape, by the way. I cut it in strips. Let's see. Okay, the next product I'm going to try is this Mother's Polish. Again, it's aluminum polish. Looks like that. And I'm just going to take a little bit of it and I'm going to put it, again, I'm dabbing it. I'm not using any rubbing action on any of this stuff yet, okay? Because remember, polishes, they have substances in them. This polish has very micro level abrasives, but it also has some other components that help it to clean metals. All right, so we've got that. And what are we lacking? We are lacking, one thing we're lacking is a little more zoom here, which I think might be useful. And hopefully you guys are getting a focus. I'm having to look back at the camera and sort of contort my body here to do this. Hopefully that was helpful. Now, this is the hand cleaner that I just mentioned. That's what it looks like. It looks like some of this gel substance. Now, remember, this was originally created for people to clean hands with, and then they would run their hands under the water and it would all wash off. And I use it when I'm working on my car because I get all this black goop on my hands and it gets in the crevices of my fingers and stuff. Now, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take just a little bit, I'm going to daub it on the steel, that little plate there, and I'm going to try to keep it, I am keeping it separate from the polished side. And it is entirely possible, guys, that all of these products will work the same. I have no idea, This is not like brand X versus brand Y. This is really about, what can you try? What would be useful? Now I'm going to lay my bets on the polish. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to work better? Kind of take a guess before I start applying these things, and we'll talk about it. Oh, by the way, there is one other option that we are going to use, and it is wet dry sandpaper. Don't know if you saw this leaning up against the machine there, and I'll explain when to use that. We're not going to use that to clean these surfaces here. And now it's time to talk about what exactly was all that. Why are these parts not beautiful and shiny now? Well, it could be a combination of things. Sometimes these parts will have light levels of rust or oxidation on them. Sometimes they will have old sewing machine oil. If it does have old sewing machine oil, these are not moving parts, right? You've heard me talk about how old oil causes all kinds of freezing and gumming up problems in the workings of the machine. But for the purposes of this, non-moving parts, that old oil acts in some ways as a coating, and it can help protect or ward off rust and oxidation for a machine that's been sitting without any love and polish. Okay, now I'm going to let the sewing machine oil sit because I mentioned to you it's not as powerful or fast acting. Now let's take the Q-tip as my first little go-to place. I wonder if I can get a little zoom in there better for you guys. Okay. Okay. So this is the side with alcohol. And since alcohol evaporates, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and put a little bit more on there. Now I'm going to take my my Q-tip, and I'm just going to kind of go over this. And if there's old oil in here, that alcohol will dissolve it. This alcohol is very powerful as a cleaner. This is why I tell you, never get it anywhere near the painted part of your machine. You will literally, if I did this once, I learned the hard way. I had alcohol and I got a drop, just one little tiny droplet on my lacquered paint finish, and literally I raced to grab it and it was too late. It instantly will dissolve your paint. So like I say, please don't get it anywhere near the paint. And I am pulling off what I suspect is a combination of old oil and some rust. Okay, ooh, sorry, it's a little too close. And there you go, you can see both ends. Now, let's see. Next up is the polish. Let's try that. And I'm just going to come over here with my cotton swab. And you know, I dabbed the polish on there, and I didn't immediately start rubbing because I wanted the liquids in the polish to have a little time to help. You know, here's the cotton swab with the polish. You can see it's also pulling stuff off, and you can see some of the polish cream there. Let's go back. And polish is something that, unlike these more fluid liquids, it doesn't all come off at one time, and that's actually kind of a cool thing. You can go back and keep polishing or rubbing the surface. This is obviously not a totally smooth plate because you may be even able to hear it. I don't know if the mic is picking this up. You can hear me coming across it with the cotton swab, and it's got a little bit of pitting, I think, nothing terrible. And there you go. You can see pulling some good stuff off there. So far, so good. Let's see if there's any more that will pull up. Sure enough, it's pulling it up. and you're seeing more of the old tarnish coming up. Now, let's take this other end, and this is the hand cleaner. This is the product I've had people ask me about because I've seen people use it on the painted finish of a machine. I'll probably make a separate video on that because I'm very, really cautious about my beautiful lacquered machines, and I don't want to do anything to that lacquer finish. It's been on there for over 100 years, and I don't want to be the one that screwed it up. So there you go. Now you can see this one. This is going, again, is that hand cleaner, non-pumice. Sorry to sound like a broken record here, but it's really important you don't use that. Let's come back. And I suspect, guys, there's some oil here, but there's also some rust and oxidation. And you know, if you've ever dealt with any kind of plated steel, whether it's chrome plated or nickel or what, it can oxidize when exposed to moisture over time. Now, let's see. I'll give it one more clean cotton swab here. See what else it'll pull out. Oh, and not to be forgotten, this little piece that I covered in sewing machine oil. Let's see what it did. A lot of people don't give sewing machine oil its due because it's so gentle. It's one of the only substances that the original creators of these machines knew was going to get spilled on those machines. And so I have not ever come across any metal or painted finish that did not happily accept sewing machine oil and never had really any issues with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a little rag here. I'm going to zoom back out just a bit. And I'm going to take a rag and clean off this area that I put sewing machine oil. It has cleaned it somewhat. It actually has. We know this because you saw what came off on the you know, there's the cotton swab and there's the rag. Not a lot, but some. That's not too shabby for sewing machine oil. Okay, what did we manage to get off with the other products? Now let's see. I want to put this down, guys, and let you see it in the light. Okay. Remember, the far left is alcohol, the middle is the polish, and then to the right is the hand cleaner. And what I'm seeing is the polish seems to have removed the most. And it's probably because the polish does have a very micro level of abrasive, not pumice. It's a polish, right? So it has some kind of abrasive in it, but it's a very fine micro abrasive, which almost all polishes have in them because you need something, but not enough to cause it to scratch, and that's what we want. So I'll go ahead and pull the tape off here. And now you can see, take a look at that. You can actually see the three areas, and where the tape was, you see what I still had on there. Okay, so what that tells me is alcohol is great for removing oil, but if all we had over here was oil, it would be a lot cleaner. That tells me we've got some oxidation. Okay, so I'm going to take what worked the best, which is the polish. And again, if you don't have this brand, you can use, maybe you have a metal polish at home that's good. Read what it says. If it says it's good for all metals, this is nickel plated steel. And I know that the aluminum polish here will work on this. But always check behind yourself. Test it before you go hog wild using it. But I feel very safe with this product on this substance. Okay, now I'm going to take a little more of the polish. And I'm going to dip my rag in it. Where are you, polish? I'm going to dip my rag in here. I'm going to do sort of a quick. Actually, let's do the little piece that had the oil treatment. I'm going to give it a good buffing with this polish, and we'll see what it does. I could daub it on there and let it sit, and that would probably give it a little more power, but most of you might not be interested in watching polish. It's like watching paint dry. So I thought I would speed it up a little bit. Now you can see what's come off on the rag, right? So you can see this is clearly removing oxidation. Now, guys, take a look. We've made some significant improvement here. Now there's some discoloration here that was there before, and that might be due, it's hard to know what that's due to. It could be the fact that the nickel has worn over time. And let's look on the back. You will see most of this, I believe, this was the side facing the gear, and I suspect this is old oil or grease that has discolored it. Now, on the back of this disc, this is the disc where we did the 3 materials, right? When I turn it over on the back, you'll see that it doesn't have as much oxidation because this side was facing the inside of the machine. But notice here at the top, this set screw went, attached it to the machine like that. And so the little plate would pivot, when you would take it off. And this area here, I believe, represents an area that's worn. And I'm going to put a little polish there, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do to address that very carefully. I just put some polish on here. I'm just going to do the top section because I want you to see this. There are going to be times when you will polish something like nickel-plated steel, and you'll be getting stuff to come off, and you're like, wow, this is looking great, but that one area just looks dark, and no matter how much you scrub, it's not going to polish up, and you think, what am I doing wrong here? Well, you've actually not done anything wrong. Here, let's just do this portion here so you can see what's going on. Now, take a look at this, guys. You can see clearly I was able to polish this section, but this section here remained dark. And the reason for that is you're looking at the bare steel. When metal is plated, the plating is on there really hard and it's really strong. Plating is a great way to protect metal, but the plate film is not thick. In fact, it's a lot thinner than it would have been if it had been painted. So it doesn't take much to take this off. So you'll notice over on this side, I haven't polished this yet. Let's go back to this little piece here. There's a little discoloration here. Now I have a couple options. This polish acts as a bit of a sealant, but I'll show you another way we're going to even add a little more sealing to it. This discoloration, I suspect, is the breaking down of the nickel plating. If you wanted to go back, we can certainly go back and do some more polishing, but I don't think we're going to get back to pure silver, and that's okay. This machine has been in existence a long time, and I think it's earned the right to have a little patina, okay? You give it your best, you give it the attention it needed. It clearly needed cleaning. Now, you'll even see some of the wear right up here where it attached with the screw. It's even thinner. If I were to take this wet dry sandpaper that I showed you earlier, I can sand this whole piece, but I don't see rust anymore. I see basically steel and the thin remnants of the nickel plating. If you have something like rust, and you will see that here being up on the hand wheel. Where are you, hand wheel? Here you go. Right there, guys. Okay? this hand wheel is, it was exposed to a lot of human touch over its life, and it actually has some rust and oxidation. I suspect the round plate here has some, but I'm going to see how much I can get off with the polish. And if need be, I can go back with either 600 or even finer grit of wet dry sandpaper, not a very coarse sandpaper at all, okay? And when I start looking at the hand wheel, I'm going to try to assess how much of this can I remove with polish, okay? The polish will dissolve and remove quite a bit, but once I get there and I'm done, then what do? Do I leave it alone, or do I try to remove some more of the rust? We can with a very fine wet dry sandpaper, but you've got to be very, very gentle. If you're not, you can end up removing almost all of what's left of the nickel plating. So this is kind of a very delicate process. So there you go, guys. This is one of the finished pieces. Oh, I almost forgot something. Remember, I was telling you, and I'm going to show you this when we do more work on tension discs. I had mentioned to you that how else can you help prevent future oxidation to a part like this? And no surprise, as I have mentioned to you about caring for your painted finishes, take 1 or 2 drops of sewing machine oil. And you can do this. You can do it with a cotton swab or a rag. Just swirl it around, okay? Get it on the sides too. We haven't polished the edges yet, but of course that's something we'll do. Now I've got the sewing machine oil there. So let's suppose we have taken the polish and we've gotten both sides. Obviously we haven't gotten the back side yet, but we've done that. Then you take the sewing machine oil, okay, and you can simply buff it just like this. You can even take a light cotton cloth, but don't wipe too hard because you don't want to wipe it all off. And now you have, it's not slippery and dripping with oil here, but there's a very fine film of sewing machine oil, and that is going to protect your machine from the ambient moisture in the air, and it will help prevent any future oxidation. Yes, you have nickel plating, but as you've seen, nickel plating is, it's on there really hard, but it's a thin coating. And it's been there a long time, so you want to help it out. Help it protect the steel that has been here since the turn of the last century. Hard to believe, huh? Anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. You can now see that I have a preference for using metal polish. I can use some alcohol if I want to get some of the main stuff off, but that's mostly for the oil. Your polish is going to take off any old oil, so it depends on how many steps you want to be involved in there. But as I said, when you're doing this, you want to, where are we here? Let's zoom back in. There we go. When you're doing this, you want to, again, take these pieces off. It's a lot easier to polish them. You don't want to get the polish on the paint. And again, some people might say, well, hey, can I use this polish on the paint? I would not. I just, again, the polish has ingredients that help dissolve patina, but it could react and ruin your paint. So again, sewing machine oil for your paint, that's the only thing I recommend. Again, some of you have asked about hand cleaner on the paint. I know some people have done it, but I have had such good luck with sewing machine oil. I may try a video where we try the hand cleaner out on the other unclean side of this machine, and we'll see what it does. But the concern I have about the hand cleaner, folks, is these hand cleaners they're all in a kind of sort of same category chemically, but they do differ. Some of them may have stronger solvents in them than others, and we have no way of knowing. With sewing machine oil, I'm more confident that it's pretty much going to behave the same way, no matter which paint I put it on or which brand of sewing machine oil I use. So I'm being very conservative because you just get one shot and taking care of the painted finish of a 100-plus-year-old sewing machine. But with these pieces, metal polishes can really bring them back. It will help retard oxidation. And then again, when I finish polishing this, I will do to it what I did with this little piece. I will give it just a little sewing machine oil hand rub, and it should be good. And that is, well, it's the restoration of a plate anyway. It's not the whole machine, but you got to get there bit by bit, folks. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate those of you who suggested the idea for the video. And this again is going to be put in the series along with the video I made on how to clean and care for the painted finishes of your vintage sewing machine. Thanks for watching, folks, and see you next time.